Okay, time in. Yeah, we're ready to go. All right, so for the recording, welcome back. We are ACI Course 1, Class 3. This is July 24, 2023. Let's gather our minds here as we usually do. Please bring your attention to your breath until you hear from me again. Now bring to mind that being who for you is a manifestation of ultimate love, ultimate compassion, ultimate wisdom, and see them appear here with you. They are gazing at you with their unconditional love for you. Smiling at you with their holy great compassion. Their wisdom radiates from them. That beautiful golden glow encompassing you in its light. And then we hear them say, bring to mind someone you know who's hurting in some way. Think about how much you would like to be able to help them. And how the worldly ways we try fall short. How wonderful it would be if we could also help in some deep and ultimate way, a way through which they would go on to stop their distress forever. We're learning that it's possible. And so I invite you to grow that wish into a longing. And maybe even into an intention. Then turn your mind back to your precious holy guide. We know that they know what we need to know, what we need to learn, what we need to do to become one who can help that other in this deep and ultimate way. And so we ask them, please teach us that. And they are so happy that we've asked. Of course, they agree. Our gratitude arises. We want to offer them something exquisite. And so we think of the perfect world they are teaching us how to create. We imagine we can hold it in our hands and we offer it to them. Following with our promise to practice what they teach us, using our refuge prayer. Here is the great earth, filled with fragrant incense and covered with a blanket of flowers. The great mountain, 4 lands, wearing the jewel of the sun and the moon. In my mind, I make them the paradise of a Buddha and offer it all to you. By this deed, may every living being experience the pure world. Idam Guru Ratna Mandala Kam Niryatayami. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the highest community. Through the merit that I do in sharing this class and the rest, may I reach Buddhahood for the sake of every living being. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the highest community. Through the merit that I do in sharing this class and the rest, may these beings reach Buddhahood for the sake of every other being. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the highest community. Through the merit that I do in sharing this class and the rest, may all beings reach their complete awakening for the benefit of every other. All right, so let's hear our text again. Just listen. Translators, you can just go through it. You don't have to wait for me. Okay, got it? All right. The 3 principal paths. I bow to all the high and holy lamas. As far as I am able, I will explain the essence of all high teachings of the victors, the path that all their holy sons commend, the entry point for the fortunate seeking freedom. Listen with a pure mind. Fortunate ones who have no craving for the pleasures of life, and who, to make leisure and fortune meaningful, strive to turn their minds to the path which pleases the victors. There is no way to end without pure renunciation, the striving for pleasant results in the ocean of life. It is because of their hankering life as well that beings are fettered. So seek renunciation first. Leisure and fortune are hard to find. Life is not long. Think it constantly. Stop desire for this life. Think over and over how deeds and their fruits never fail, and the cycle is suffering. Stop desire for the future. When you have meditated thus, and feel not even a moment's wish for the good things of cyclic life, and when you begin to think both night and day of achieving freedom, you have found renunciation. Renunciation, though, can never bring the total bliss of matchless Buddhahood unless it is bound by the purest wish. And so the wise seek the high wish for enlightenment. They are swept along on 4 fierce river currents, chained up tight in past deeds, hard to undo, stuffed in a steel cage of grasping self, smothered in the pitch black ignorance. In a limitless round they are born, and in their births are tortured by 3 sufferings without a break. Think how your mothers feel. Think of what's happening to them. Try to develop this highest wish. You may master renunciation and the wish, but unless you have the wisdom perceiving reality, you cannot cut the root of cyclic life. Make efforts in ways then to perceive interdependence. A person has entered the path that pleases the Buddhas when, for all objects in the cycle or beyond, they see that cause and effect can never fail, and when for them, they lose all solid appearance. You have yet to realize the thought of the able, as long as 2 ideas seem to you disparate: the appearance of things, infallible interdependence, and emptiness beyond taking any position. At some point, they no longer alternate, come together. Just seeing that interdependence never fails brings realization that destroys how you hold objects. And then your analysis with view is complete. In addition, the appearance prevents the existence extreme, emptiness that of non-existence. And if you see how emptiness shows in cause and effect, you will never be stolen off by extreme views. When you have grasped, as well as I, the essential points of each of the 3 principal paths explained, then go into isolation, my child. Make mighty efforts and quickly win your ultimate wish. So last week, class number 2, it was packed with really great information that took me a long time to recognize how packed it was. Excuse me. So one of the things we talked about was the Great Seal. And who can give me the Sanskrit word for the great seal? This is from your quiz.
Mahamudra.
Mahamudra. Anybody remember the Tibetan for extra credit?
Chigyan.
Chakya Chempo. Good try. You get credit. Chakya Chempo. We learned that it's a code word for seeing emptiness directly, which we're just learning about. It's an important thing. It puts some kind of special seal, special identity on us, which it's not about being special. It's about the special effect it has on our understanding about why things happen in the way that they do. Then what's the relationship between the three principal paths and Mahamudra? The three principal paths and seeing emptiness directly. Chris?
It's the three principal paths are the way to achieve seeing emptiness directly.
Right. It's the result of working with renunciation, bodhicitta, and correct worldview. Those deeds done will bring about that direct perception. Then what's the relationship between these and successful Diamond Way practice, which is transforming in this lifetime? Practicing the three principal paths well makes the Diamond Way happen. Makes what we mean by Diamond Way happen. Then, so that our transformation, meaning our transformation from suffering being to fully enlightened being, made of ultimate love, ultimate compassion, ultimate wisdom, won't happen without the seeds planted from working with renunciation, bodhicitta, and correct worldview. So what are those two main causes of Buddhahood, of becoming that being who's made of ultimate love, ultimate compassion, ultimate wisdom? There are two main causes. Okay, Chris.
The collection of merit and the collection of wisdom.
Right, you're getting ahead of me. So that's going to come up.
Oh, merit and wisdom.
Merit and wisdom.
Okay.
And then what are the two main elements of these? What are the elements, not two, what are the main elements of method side, which is the collecting merit? All right, so we'll call it method and wisdom. What's involved in our method side?
Renunciation and bodhicitta.
Renunciation and bodhicitta. Working with those influence our choices of behavior, and that's what we mean by method side. So what's included in the wisdom side? There's only one left.
PPE.
Wisdom, right? Working with our wisdom. Then what are the two bodies of a Buddha?
Rupakaya and Dhammakaya.
Right. The form body, Rupakaya, and the mind being Dharmakaya. And what are the two main causes of these? That was the answer Chris gave us earlier.
So
The collection of merit, which is the good seeds that we make through our method side, brings about our form body, our appearance, what we're gonna look like as our fully enlightened being. And the seeds we plant through our wisdom, growing it, having it, then growing it even more, are plant the seeds that are the causes for the mind of our future Buddha, right? Our awareness. Okay. And how do the three principal paths relate to those? The causes of Buddhahood. Collection of merit is our method side, born of our renunciation and bodhicitta. Got it? Correct view of emptiness is our wisdom side, contributes to our collection of wisdom that makes the mind of Buddha. Do you see the sequence? And so that's why we're digging into renunciation, bodhicitta, and correct worldview as our foundation for moving through the rest of the ACI coursework. These are going to come up again and again and again. Excuse me, drippy nose. Yes, Kong Li, you have your hand up.
Just one question. The tantric or secret teaching is now, yes, related to the question that you're asking. So is it Diamond Way is the tantric or secret teaching?
Yes.
Is it the same?
Yes.
It's the same, right?
Right. Vajrayana means diamond way. Yes. You know, we avoid using the word tantra because it has a bad connotation. It's gotten, people have a wrong idea of it. And so it's, you know, it just to try to reduce confusion. Geshe Michael's pretty careful to use the diamond way or the secret way. And there's nothing wrong with the word tantra. It is correct. It means secret way. All right. So if we get this big picture in mind, like our natural next thought would be, wow, that's extraordinary. You know, I want to know more. And maybe we even have the seeds to be like so sparked, so motivated by it. It's like, wow, I see that maybe I could really do this. And our motivation may grow big enough that we decide we're gonna do it. And then our next thought is, well, you know, I can't do it by myself. I need to find somebody who can help me. So I like the analogy, you know, of maybe we're watching the Olympics and we see those figure skaters, you know, like we're young, not me, but say I was 12 years old, you know, and I see the Olympics and I'm so inspired by the ice dancing. And it's like, oh man, I want to do that. And we could check a book out of the library, you know, watch movies about it, you know, get a pair of skates and even teach ourselves how to ice skate. We could probably do that. But to really learn how to master the skill at performance level, we know we're going to need a teacher. We're going to look for a coach. And we're gonna learn how to choose a coach. Right? We're gonna look for somebody who either is a really, really accomplished skater, or someone who's shown that they've taught people to be really, really accomplished skaters, even if they themselves can't do it. My personal experience in undergoing a training like that is that the person who actually wasn't so good at it was better at teaching people that didn't have the natural ability, like me, than the person who had the natural ability that was really good at it. They didn't have the ability to break the steps down, into the details to teach somebody like me. So I did better with a coach that, had struggled themselves instead of being a natural athlete, right? I had both those kinds of coaches in my athletic career. So regardless, the point is, we have this sense of, wow, I really want to do that. And then the next step is, I need to find somebody who can teach me. And in our aspiration for our spiritual progress from suffering to enlightened being, it becomes more important to find a qualified teacher, one that fits us, than training for your career. It becomes even more important than getting married in a sense, because it's a relationship that is working together beyond this lifetime. And so there are certain criteria that we are taught to look for in this person we are going to rely upon to help us learn how to be the one that can help others stop their suffering forever. We will take teachings from many people, but the teacher is like the athlete's coach, right? That coaches them all the way to the Olympics and beyond. So it's helpful to know what we're looking for. And of course, the scriptures give us a list, Gelugpa's love list, a list of 10 qualities of a qualified teacher. They tell us that our mind is so fragile and precious, and that the relationship with a teacher for our spiritual progress is so powerful that it's actually a bit of a dangerous proposition to devote ourselves to a teacher. Maybe we've done it before and it's gone sour. That happens a lot. Yeah. And understanding karma and emptiness, we can think back on those situations and re-understand what happened. And we then know, okay, I'm going to fix that so it doesn't have to happen to anybody ever again. But we get then a bit shy at committing ourselves again, as we should be. So it helps to have a clearer criteria for what we're looking for. And they give us this story. Yeah. It gives us this story about Lord Atisha. So Lord Atisha lived in India around 1000 AD. He was one of the ones who brought Buddhism to Tibet. We'll learn more about him. But during his training, he was hearing about these bodhisattvas and the bodhisattva vows and this thing called lojong. That was hidden teachings in his day. And he heard about this teacher who lived in Indonesia, who was teaching the bodhisattva vows. And he wanted to receive those teachings. So he made this long, dangerous trip from India to Indonesia, going to look for this teacher. And we would think that the moment he got there, he would scurry to the teacher and say, please, please teach me the bodhisattva vows. But he didn't. He went, he watched the teacher in their interaction with their students. He watched the teacher in their interaction with their worldly life. He watched the students in their interaction together. He watched how the students interacted with him as a new person there. And he was like deciding, do I really want to ask this teacher to teach me about the bodhisattva vows? So he wasn't even asking this teacher to become his personal guide. He was just asking for bodhisattva vows. And he was so careful. Some scriptures say he spied on them for 12 years. This story says for 6 months. I don't know how long he actually waited. But the point is, he was checking the teacher out, even once he went to the trouble to get there before he committed himself. So we're supposed to check our teachers out. Once we even have the sense, I need a teacher, right? Which for me was a long time coming. I grew up in a time when, girls were being taught you can do anything your brothers can do, right? Which was kind of newish, right? I'm not the first generation to get that. I have older friends and they struggled, right? My parents helped in that regard. My older friends, their parents didn't help them. They had to do it on their own. Thank you, ladies, for doing that for me. But the point was, it was this strong individualism, right? I can't do it myself, said the little red hen. And that means, yeah, I have teachers, but they're going to give me the details, but right? It's up to me. And that is true. The behavior changes are up to each one of us. This is a highly individualistic course of change. But at some point, I came to understand the power of a relationship with a teacher to whom I am devoted and who accepts me as one of their students. And we'll talk more and more about that. This class is about who might qualify what do I look for when I'm looking for my spiritual guide, which we're going to learn later. We don't really go looking for them. We plant seeds to create them, and they will show up. Yeah, you don't have to actually do anything but be open. An unqualified spiritual teacher can be a dangerous situation because we are relying on them to teach us things that we don't know. And if they teach us to do certain behaviors without also teaching us how to determine whether they will bring a good result or not, that we're just to follow blindly. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. They could teach us to do behaviors that turn out to be mistaken. And so we're doing essentially non-virtues to follow our Lama. And that the contradiction in those seeds, using devotion to do wrong things, harmful things, is, right? Those seeds get planted and, right, grow later into even perhaps being a teacher who teaches people to do wrong things. And it's very slippery because we don't really know right from wrong. We're relying on them for that. So again, the amazing thing within the Buddhist teachings is Buddha says again and again, don't just believe what I say. Check it out. Work with it. Learn to reason. Learn to test and check. And only when you figured out for yourself, then act from it. And we will learn how we go about doing that. It sounds like it should be easy and straightforward, and it's not, actually. So the moral to the story is don't be in a rush to say, oh, I found my teacher. Take your time. Make sure you have a good fit with them. So there are 10 qualifications of a true Lama. We're using the term Lama, which means high one. It's an honorific. We could use the term teacher. When I use teacher with a capital T, I mean Buddha. And then when you find your personal teacher, they kind of get the capital T teacher in my mind. But anyway, so these teachings come from a teaching called the Sutra Alamkara. I didn't write it down. I guess I should. Sutra Alamkara. It's a long A here because it's two A's in a row. Sutra Alamkara. This is a writing by Master Asanga, who lived in India around 350 AD. We will meet him more. It was a teaching he received directly at one point from Lord Maitreya, that being who's waiting to be our next Buddha manifesting on earth. As I said, around 350 AD in India. So Lord Maitreya is teaching Arya Asanga, and Arya Asanga is teaching us qualities of one's spiritual guide, one's personal spiritual guide. This is what we're looking for. Here is what we're looking for. All on one board. So please say Shenyen Dowa, Shenyen Dowa, Shiwa near Shiwa.
Shinan Gir Shiwa.
Good. Yintan Lakpa, Sunche Lunki Chuk. Deni Rabtu Dokpa. Makeden. Sewa Dakni, my favorite. Gyowapam. Got him? Shenyen Doba Shiwa near Shiwa. Yunten Lakpa Sunche Lunkichuk. Deni Rabtu Tokpa Makeden. Sewa Dakni. Gyowapam. Okay, got him. Can I put my board down? Yes, Tracy.
The fourth line down, the first word in, can you tell me what's the letter after the G?
I.
Thank you.
Yep. Okay. So that first word, Shenyen, Shenyan literally means someone we're really, really, really emotionally close to. So like a really close relative, but more than that, Geshe says, remember when we were little kids and we had our best friend, and we weren't related to them, but we said, let's become blood sisters, right? And we pricked our fingers and we did this thing and we made this bond because we were so fond of each other and so important to each other, right? So that maybe goes deeper than, your relationship with your brothers and sisters or cousins. But when we do have a blood relationship, right? Cousins, brothers, sisters, there's some kind of personal responsibility. We've got karma with them that kind of makes family take precedence even over best friends. But we're in fact more fond of our best friends, maybe, than our family. So this Shenyan, this is the sort of combination that we're talking about. They're related to us, but our connection is through this fondness, this admiration, this, best friend kind of feeling. Shenyan. It's come to mean my spiritual guide, but it's helpful to work our way through the meanings of those words, because we could be thinking, oh, my spiritual guide is so above me, I just can't relate to them. And anytime I'm in their presence, I stutter and, I can't look them in the eye. That isn't the relationship we're looking for. The spiritual guide, Shenyan, is someone you could go to and you can tell them anything. And that their wisdom and their love is so strong that they won't judge us, they won't reject us, we know that their concern for us is for our spiritual progress, our complete awakening. And then sometimes the things that they seem to think, do, or say don't look so holy. But when we have this conviction that everything I perceive in them is designed to help me grow as fast as possible, then, right, this is the power of that relationship. It comes with this conviction that their love is unconditional and their wisdom knows exactly what I personally need. And that's a fragile state of mind for us, right? It's a powerful one for them as well. So Shenyan, spiritual friend. Dohwa means tamed, like a wild horse, not just a baby horse, but a grown-up horse that grew up in the wild. And now they belong to you. And your job is to teach them, coax them, train them, help them become a really excellent workhorse. Maybe even a performance horse. And imagine what it takes. Like one of my other students had a career as a horse trainer. And it's like, wow, that's just so cool. We're the horse, the teacher's the trainer. But when we're looking for someone who we're going to devote ourselves to, we want to see that they themselves have been tamed, right? They themselves have been trained to be a really reliable workhorse, meaning they practice self-control to a very high degree. They live avoiding the 10 non-virtues in obvious and subtle ways. They avoid being unkind, body, speech, and mind. How could someone who has not grown those qualities in themselves ever teach us how to tame ourselves? Right? They're not going to tame us. They're going to teach us how to tame ourselves. Right? It's an important distinction. The other analogy I like is that if we get a puppy and we, the owner, don't have enough self-discipline to train that puppy, we're going to end up with an adult dog that misbehaves because we didn't take the responsibility to teach that dog manners. And then the dog gets in trouble all the time. Whose fault is that? Yeah, ours, the owners. So we're the owner of our puppy dog. It's up to us to train our puppy dog. Our spiritual guide teaches us how to do it because they've done it themselves. They had a teacher, they have a teacher. They got taught, they applied themselves, right? And then we can observe their behavior. We can observe their other students. And we can make the determination, are they more well-tamed than me? Do they seem to know how to teach people about behavior choices? Dulwa, tamed. Second one, Shiwa. Shiwa means peace, P-E-A-C-E, at peace. This means they have recollection and awareness well mastered, meaning they are well trained in holding their mindfulness on morality, on avoiding wrong morality throughout their interactions with others. So we'll learn these two words, recollection and awareness, as applied to qualities of our mind in our meditation on our cushion. Those two qualities of mind, we are also cultivating off our cushion, directed at our behavior choices. I call it ethical mindfulness. Mindfulness is a powerful tool to be really mindful as you eat your oatmeal. It's very hard to do, but that's not so useful except as a mindfulness exercise. mindfulness of our ethical behavior is our training. Training this puppy dog, right? To be a well-behaved seeing eye dog, right? What do they call those others? Service dog, right? Third one, near Shiva, N-Y-E-R Shiva. Near means high, very much at peace. So this one is speaking to their training of wisdom. They have this ability to analyze reality, analyze their experience. To recognize the lack of self nature in the objects, the subjects, and the interactions between. This is a meditative exercise, and they have this high ability to meditate deeply. For that realization of where things are really coming from. So these first three qualities come to be called the three baskets, the three trainings, the three extraordinary trainings. The extraordinary training of morality, the extraordinary training of meditative concentration, and the extraordinary training in wisdom. And we, the potential student, are watching their behavior to see if we can tell the level of their three extraordinary trainings. Now, how do we know the level of somebody's meditation? How do we know the level of their understanding of reality? It really, we're drawing conclusions based on how we see them interact with others. It's especially helpful to somehow be aware of how they act in the face of troubles. It's easy to be on our best behavior when everything's going well. But when we don't feel good, when there's a problem, right? How do they act then? Is their behavior consistent with what they're teaching? That gives us insight into the level of these first three qualities. So these first three are mental trainings that they have applied and are applying that show in their behavior. So curiously, when we're going through these qualities, we've just talked about number one, Dilwa, number two, Shiva, number three, near Shiva, tamed, peace, high peace. Hyunten Lakpa Sun Che Lunkichuk. Lunkichuk is called the fourth. So I'm going to number them here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6. Okay, done. And then 8. 6, 8, 7. I don't know why this is the case. 9 and 10. Right? So has something to do with the syntax in Tibetan that I totally don't understand. But so I'm going to teach you in the 1, 2, 3 order, not the order that they're. I know my blue is hard to see. All right, I'll tell you as I talk about them, I'll tell you, and then you can get it that way. Let's take a break. Tamed. Thanks, Tracy. You look like you're in paradise. Out at the beach listening to the Dharma. It doesn't get any better than that.
In my front yard, I'm trying to make it look like a Buddha paradise.
Looks like one to me.
And you do too, with your glowing blue gemstones in the background and yellow window door that looks like water. So you too.
Thanks. Tell me when we're ready. Translators, thumbs up. Thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. Okay, good. Lucy, is Lucy back? Okay. All right. Number 4 is Lungkichuk. Lungkichuk. Lung means scriptures. It also means those inner winds. Curious about that? Here it means scriptures. Lungkichuk means they are rich in scripture. It's not enough for them to have mastered the 3 trainings. In order to teach us, they need to know what to teach. They need to know the material. Those 3 previous qualities are their own mental, personal attainments. This one is this quality of knowing what to teach. It's interesting because these scriptures teach actually about the decline of Buddhism and how first people won't have sufficient goodness to attain realizations, right? Their own mental realizations. And then people's ability to concentrate deeply will die out. And then our ability to read the books dies out. And then, of course, the interest in the books being important dies out. And eventually the books, become destroyed. All of it driven by mental seeds made by our behavior, of course, which means it's not inevitable if we change our seeds. And one of the contributing factors to helping perpetuate the seeds for having the Dharma in the world is to ask for and hear the scriptures being read. So it was a very common tradition that people who, for the most part, didn't know how to read would invite a monk, right, or their own personal spiritual guide, if they had one, to come to their home and read a scripture so that they could hear it, so that the vibe could be in their home. And from the one who's reading its side, it's actually most powerful for them because they're hearing themselves perpetuate the Dharma. So I don't know whether people still do that. In my tradition, Western tradition, I never heard of anybody asking your preacher to come read the Bible in your house. You know, hopefully it happens and I just don't know about it. But for us, like outside of this particular teaching, once we learn the power of the words of the scripture, David and I often on one of those special extra merit making days or to celebrate something, we'll get out the Diamond Cutter Sutra. And if there are interested people available, we'll invite them over and we'll read the Diamond Cutter Sutra out loud. It takes about 2 hours. And it's this power that contributes to keeping the Dharma alive in the world. And it's like, I'm no special being, you know, I'm not out there in Mongolia scanning texts, but to just read your Heart Sutra out loud is contributing to the keeping the Dharma in the world. So this teacher, right, knows the scriptures. They've been taught about them. They know the material that the student will benefit from. Lunkichu. Number 5 is sunche. Sunche. Sunche means they make great effort. Not just work so hard, but they enjoy sharing the Dharma so much, right? That it's their focus. It's what they want to do. So suncha means they have this deep joy in their Dharma life and in sharing the teachings, in guiding a student. From the teacher's side, it can be a big pain in the butt, says Geshe Michael. But they have this quality of, yeah, great, right? Okay. They make great effort. Number 5. Number 6, here's my list. Yunten Lakpa. Yunten Lakpa. Yunten means good qualities. Lakpa means high qualities. Here it means we see them as having higher spiritual qualities than I have, right? Me, the student, sees that teacher as having greater spiritual qualities than myself. That makes sense, doesn't it? The ice skating teacher that you go to needs to know more than me about ice skating if I expect them to be able to teach me how to ice dance. They need to know more than me. They need to be more advanced than me. They need to be able to not criticize somebody when they're being criticized, right? So especially if I were to have my own specialty mental afflictions and I recognize them, I'd be looking for a teacher that very clearly demonstrates the opposite behavior so that I can relate to them. We are not usually sophisticated enough to have that kind of criteria. But when we're creating our teacher, that's one of the ways to decide what qualities you're going to create in a teacher. Oh, I have trouble being criticized and not slamming back at the other person. Well, you do that. So I want somebody who can accept criticism, look at it healthily, respond open-mindedly, which means to create that person in my life, what do I have to do? Be more like that. It's like there they are, already teaching us, and we haven't even met them, which is how it works. So these first 6 relate to qualities that we see in the teacher themselves. The next 4 relate to their ability or style of teaching. So number 7, Makeden. Makeden means they are a master instructor. They say that a fully enlightened being, when they speak, they hear themselves speaking Sanskrit. But whoever hears them speaking in their own language. Thank you, translators, for planting seeds for me to be speaking in how many languages at one time? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 4 or 5. You guys are awesome. A not yet fully enlightened being who doesn't have those qualities of speech yet will be able to understand the student's ability and level, and to be able to speak to a level that will suit the student. So we're talking here one's own personal spiritual guide. When they're interacting with us, they're not going to talk over our head or under our heart. They're going to challenge us, okay, but not overwhelm. When we're in amongst a group, when we have this deep connection, it's not uncommon that it sounds like they're talking to you, right? They're talking to a whole group and they're answering your particular questions, even though you haven't asked. They're using examples that are exactly what you need. And it's like, wow, that class was just for me. And then you go and talk to somebody else and they say, wow, that class was just for me. And right. So we're looking for someone for whom we have that kind of connection, that experience. Seven, 8. 8 is Deni Rabtu Tokpa. Deni Rabtu Tokpa. Altogether, it means they have seen emptiness directly or have a very deep intellectual, logical, deductive perception of it. How are we going to know that about somebody? Traditionally, karmically, someone who has seen emptiness directly and you ask them if they have, they will wiggle out of answering the question. We'll learn why that is later. We have reason to know that Geshe Michael experienced emptiness directly on July 28th, 1975. So some of us celebrate that day. Thank you for the reason to remind me. So don't believe it because I said so, but just sharing. Yeah. Number 9, Gyowapang. Gyowapang means they are beyond getting discouraged. So this is having to do with their teaching ability, guiding somebody, guiding us to our total enlightenment. They are beyond getting discouraged, meaning it doesn't matter how many times they have to tell you, finish your homeworks and quizzes. They love you so much that they will just keep saying it. This relationship with this spiritual guide, we want to be so convinced that their only concern for us is our progress on our path. And anything that they can do to help us along, they are willing to do, ready to do. Everything they do is to help us grow. They're not sitting home at night going, what does Shanti need today? It's spontaneous. Okay? It's coming out of us. And our task as the student is, when it doesn't look like that, to stop, regroup, think of karma and emptiness, think of the goal, think of what's happening, use the situation to gain insight and choose our response. All born out of their great love and wisdom for us. Number 9, Gyowapang. They are beyond getting discouraged, meaning they will never give up on you. You are welcome to walk away from your close relationship with them at any time. They will welcome you with open arms when you come back. This life, future lives, they are beyond getting discouraged. Number 10, Sewa Dakni. Sewa Dakni means they are the image of love. I love that one. Somehow, right? We just see it, feel it. That out of them pours this love, wisdom. And we're inspired by that. And we want to be like that. So it's a beautiful thing. Is it coming from them? Yes and no. If it was coming from them, everybody would see it in them. If it's not in them at all, then why doesn't our wish for somebody's love, wisdom land on anybody? could, but doesn't yet. Okay. We want this spiritual guide. We want to have this sense that they love us so much that it is like having a perfect parent, best friend, teacher, what else? Partner. Like they are all that rolled into one. Completely reliable, completely caring for us, completely willing to do whatever it is we need, which also could mean getting mad at us sometimes, right? Being wrathful with us, pushing us to do something we really don't want to do because it would benefit us, making us work with somebody to do a Dharma project and we really don't like that person. Exactly, they would say, right? So again, this is a really personal decision that once we decide we want to have such a relationship and we find the person that we feel this connection to, we actually go formally and ask them. And the tradition is, you make some kind of meaningful offering. It doesn't mean a whole lot of money or something expensive, but something meaningful that represents something they've taught you or something you hope they will teach you. And you say, I see you as this, and this. You inspire me in that way. And I really, really, really would be grateful if you would take me as your student. And they might say no. They might make you ask 2 or 3 times, or they may just say, where have you been, right? Why did it take you so long? Or they may just say, of course, yes. But regardless, if you're convinced that they are the one, don't take no for an answer. If they do say no, ask them why, right? It's fair to say why, because they may say, because I see that there's someone else who's your teacher, right? And they won't tell us that if we don't ask. The point is we formally, at some point, we formally ask them. And once we've been accepted, now that being becomes a hugely powerful karmic object for us because of the power that we've just given them as our spiritual guide. Then anything we think, say, or do towards them are seeds planted in a really, really powerful way. The virtuous ones, the good ones, are a huge collection of merit, right? Our stupid human mistakes are a huge, powerful negative, but we're trained to have this instant regret or very rapid regret, and we apply our purification for powers that we'll learn about, right? So we have the tools to use them as a powerful karmic object. It sounds bad in English. That guy used me, right? We get mad at them. The Lama wants us to use them, to plant seeds in that field for our own personal growth. And that's the power and the danger of the relationship. The danger from the teacher's side for not falling for it. Oh, I'm so special. The danger from the student side. They can do anything to me. That's not correct. right? It's this fine dance of responsibility from both parties with this higher goal in mind. So we'll learn that when we have a teacher, a spiritual guide, and we ask them for advice, we are still supposed to apply our reasoning to see if that advice is consistent with what we understand about what the teachings are teaching us. And if we come to the conclusion that they're not, we go to the teacher and say, in all due respect, I don't think I understand what you're asking me to do because I see it in this way, and that would be a negative deed, and I can't do that. Or I'm not capable of what you've asked. Okay, that's a healthy relationship with a teacher. Okay. It's to have your own, retain your own personal responsibility. That's what they're training us in, to be able to grow our personal responsibility bigger and bigger and bigger. So within that dance is our conviction that they are completely trustworthy in terms of their motivation for us being our ultimate happiness. And that needs to be cultivated and maintained, okay? Because it will be, it can be a struggle at times. So then, like the first half of the Lam Rim, we learned, those of you who did the Lam Rim practice module, the first half is finding the teacher. And then once we find one, then that sets in motion the rest of the steps towards our total enlightenment. And then the next Lam is how to think towards them, how to act towards them. And I just lost my train of thought. Within that is how to serve them. So if they become the most powerful karmic object, why would we do anything other than serve them? And we hear serving them meaning, okay, then I should move in next door and I should cook their meals and do their laundry and mop their floor and put their altar up and down. And maybe you could do that, right? Make them tea. But, there's only that, maybe you could do that. But maybe that Lama lives halfway across the world and you only get to see him once or twice a year. Does that mean we're out of luck? We don't get to serve them? No, we can serve them by participating in one of their projects. We can serve them by supporting any of their projects. We can serve them by helping what they do, which is sharing the Dharma. What they really want us to do, though, the way we serve them, is to put into practice what they teach us. And we don't need to be anywhere near them to do that. We take our refuge. We find ourselves in a pleasant situation. We recognize, wow, this is a result of past kindness. Who can I share it with? Gosh, I'm all by myself. Hey, I can offer it to my llama. Just in my mind. Anything we do, we can be offering to the llama. Look at this beautiful sunset. Look at this traffic jam. And I'm not getting upset. Right? If you could see your llama there with you, they would just giggle with delight that you offered them a traffic jam you're not upset with. Unless you're never upset with traffic jams. Well, they're still happy about that. You see? So this relationship with the llama seems to be a physical to physical, but it's way beyond that. It's a heart to heart. And they are with you always. Once you've declared that relationship. And so we can be serving them by behaving in ways that will make them proud, right? That will show them that we're trying. When we mess up, which we will do, they love us all the more. And we go, oh man, I messed up, right? Doggone it anyway. I'll do better next time. Please help me. And they giggle with delight at that as well. So it can be a danger of growing this understanding. My teacher's with me all the time. They're watching me. We could get like, anxious and being watched and like the victim. Or we can be, wow, this is just a cool opportunity, right? I can share. And we have access to their wisdom as that relationship grows. Gosh, what should I do? Tell me what to do, right? And then bing, an idea pops up. And you can say, oh, they told me, or I figured it out myself, and it doesn't matter. Okay. All right, cool. So if you don't have your spiritual teacher yet, the very fact that you're in a class like this means you have the seeds for one, past life seeds. It means probably you already have a connection with such a being. You just haven't recognized them or ripened those seeds fully enough to see what a benefit it would be. And so don't be in a hurry to get those seeds to ripen, but do cultivate them in some way rather than just leaving them to, move along on their own. And the way we cultivate that is by pretending that you know that they are aware of you, and picking some particular old behavior that you want to change, some old habit, big or small. Make your plan to say, no, criticizing back when I'm criticized, I want to stop that habit. Think about the different situations that bring it up. Think about what it feels like, right, to launch into the criticizing back. Think about what seeds you'd rather plant. In response to being criticized. A nice neutral one. Thank you for sharing. Or even stronger. Wow, there must be something correct in what you've said. I'll think about it. Right? All the way to, thanks, I am like that. Ooh, makes me wiggle to even think of that. Whatever level feels right for you. Rehearse it in your mind a few times. so that you'll be ready to try it on for size. And look to see where it is you might find yourself more subtly criticizing others. Maybe it's even just in your own mind. Make the determination to catch and stop those, and to respond in this different way in the next event of being criticized. And at the end of the day, think, Holy Teacher, whoever you are, wherever you are, look what I did today. See them, hear it, and see them so happy with your effort, no matter how big or puny. And the next day, try again. Okay, that's all you need for your homework for this class. And I knew I'd have a little extra time. So I thought to tell you a little bit about myself and David. So in all of these teachings of the 10 qualities, I was not talking about myself. I'm talking about, right, who you're looking for as your personal spiritual guide. So David and I, we met Geshe Michael in 1988 or 1999. We were already part of the Buddhism scene in Tucson, had been for about 5 years. But in that scene, they would have a Tibetan Lama come over a weekend, and they would give teachings that were in Tibetan, right? And then translated. And, you know, there'd be a number of hours, and they would start from refuge, right? And go into a little bit about karma, but there was never enough time to get much beyond, because they only had the weekend and they always started from the beginning. And, you know, it was inspiring. We kept studying. And then we got this flyer in the mail that said Diamond Cutter Sutra being taught in English by this American Geshe guy, you know, and it was like, in English? That's novel, let's go. So it was 2 weekends in a row. And he taught the ACI course 6, you know, which is just such a juicy course. And, you know, now I realize it went way over my head. But at the time, it was like, whoa, that is so clear. You know, that's the first we heard the pen thing, 1980, 98 or 9. And our personal practice had been Tonglen for a number of years. But at that time, there was almost nothing translated into English about the practice. And we saw that this group had a series of courses on audio tapes available, and one of them was a Tonglen practice module. Wow, Tonglen. So we ordered it, and they sent us course 14 Lojong because the Tonglen wasn't quite ready yet. But we listened to course 14, the Lojong, which is all about training our heart in love, compassion, and wisdom. And it was so extraordinary. We shared it with our little Dharma group. We had about 5 people that studied. And we were like hooked. This guy, Geshe Michael, you know, he's so clear. And wow. So it turns out that the reason he came to Arizona was that they were looking for a property to do their great retreat on. And there was a guy that owned a big ranch south of Tucson who said, yeah, you can use, 50 acres over there. So they had come to look at those 50 acres. And we said, we live in Tucson. If you need help, call us. Meanwhile, Geshe Michael was teaching in California. We went to a couple of those teachings, how karma works, some other things. And then they did call and they said, we are going to do our 3-year retreat. We're starting in March, and this was like November before. We need to put up 6 yurts. Do you know how to build a yurt? And it's like, no, but we'll try. So we started going out to this property on weekends. And we laid the foundations for the yurts and helped them build those yurts, and then kept going out on the weekends to help the staff cook for the retreatants. They had a yurt, a kitchen yurt that had a gas, 2-burner stove, and they had to haul water in. And they didn't have hot water, so they had to heat the water. It was so hard on the staff to support this retreat. So David said, look, let's get a big tank and have the water truck come and give you 1,000 gallons. Let's build a solar hot water, right? And a solar pump, so you can at least have hot water. And so, those are the kinds of things that David was doing. He put lightning rods onto all the yurts because one of them, right? And I was doing dishes mostly, but the staff was also teaching the practice modules. I don't know how they did it. And then over the years, they also taught the 3 review courses. So David and I had decided we're going to do this whole curriculum, because if Geshe Michael's going to teach the Diamond Way with the same quality that he's teaching the open teachings, we want to be a part of it. So we ordered the whole ACI coursework. It was on audio tapes back then with paper notebooks. And we gave up everything else in life. We worked, we did these studies, and we went on weekends to help at Diamond Mountain. And it took us 3 years to go through those courses and the practice modules with the staff, and then finally the 3 reviews. So meanwhile, there was a small Dharma group in Sierra Vista, which is south of Tucson by about an hour and a half, who said, gosh, we'd really love to study the ACIs. Could you come share them with us? And it's like, me? Like, I was a student. I was on my spiritual path, right? I wasn't intending to share with other people, but I was only working part-time. I was able to take the time to drive down there once a week, and it's like, okay. And I just listened to the audio again, took really careful notes, and shared with this group. So that went on for a number of years, actually. And meanwhile, the Diamond Mountain, that's Diamond Mountain now, got started. And they needed people on the other Diamond Mountain, which was 2 hours away, to prepare it for when they finished their 3-year retreat. So there was somewhere for them to go. So we quit going to the retreat side and we started going to the new Diamond Mountain side to help prepare that because somebody needed to do it. And long story short, we ended up giving up our careers and moving there. And about that same time, the current administrators and managers of the place decided it was time for them to go. And so David and I and just Earl and a couple other part-time people were like left. And it was like, okay, you pay the bills, right? You here. No, we're just here to be worker bees. Yeah, right. And we ended up administrators of Diamond Mountain and on the board. And it's like, how did we get here? We just wanted to dig ditches and meditate. But it just unfolded in that way. And then we were able to receive the Diamond Way and do retreat during that time and after. And during that time, we got asked by a group in Texas, would you teach us the course curriculum from start to finish? And again, it's like, really? Okay. And right, it took them 3.5, 4 years to complete their ACI. Meanwhile, right, another group has asked. Then we get into retreat where, out of commission for 3.5 years. And then when we get out, both of us are being asked, would you share? Would you share? So the reason I'm telling you is that I had no intention of being a teacher. My calm is healing. I was in medicine, but I always had this prayer. May I know exactly what this person needs, whether I can do it for them or not. May I know what they need and get them there. And that evolved into my spiritual path, into sharing the Dharma, which is a deeper healing than what I was doing before. And I didn't set out to teach. I didn't set out to have my own students. But that's how the relationship goes, from one to the next, from one to the next. And as we understand more and more about mental seeds, right, and emptiness, we see that it's by sharing with others that we really understand what it is we're sharing. So the teacher is the student at the same time. I learn something from every class I give because I'm listening as I'm saying, and it's like, it's not me. I'm really trying to channel. And so it's like, wow, really? Like, I didn't know that. So I encourage you, you don't need to have any intention to become a teacher as you're taking your ACI courses. But please keep an open mind, right? That maybe there'll be an opportunity someday and somebody might ask you, wow, you seem to know something. What is it? And you test the waters with the pen thing. And if they keep asking, at some point, you want to know the details? I've taken this course. I can share with you. So ACI has gone on to have a full-on teacher training program that if you want to be a certified ACI teacher, whatever that means, right? They have a process, but you are welcome to take any of the courses that you've taken and share with friends in your own living room, not calling yourself an ACI teacher, but saying, this is what I learned, and this is what I understand about it. I'm limited, but this is how I work with it. Maybe it can help you guys too. And don't hold yourself up as the teacher, but share, right? Share. Then in that sharing, the important piece is to make a clear distinction between this is what I was taught, this is how I've experienced it, this is how I've worked with it, this is how I understand it. Okay? To make this distinction between one's own experience and the scripture. And Geshe Michael was pretty clear in doing that as in this original set of courses. And I promise to you that I will do my very best to keep those distinctions clear as well. Okay. Done. We have 4 minutes that I'm not supposed to waste. Are there any questions, comments? I'm happy to see faces. All of a sudden, I have all faces. Thank you for that. Good, we're happy.
Well, there was a question in the chat about, is it only virtuous if you read the Dharma, the scripture out loud, or can you read it when you read it yourself? Is it also virtuous? Or
It's
if you
also,
listen to it, say,
right. It's also virtuous to read it silently, but there is this value of that saying it out loud, something about the vibe. Your mental vibes go out too. So, we could take that to the debate ground and hash it out. The fly in your room's not going to hear it if you say it mentally. But, right. Plus, there's something about hearing yourself say it out loud. Right? Different seeds. Let's say that. It's different seeds. Still virtuous, but different seeds. Okay. So remember that person we wanted to be able to help at the beginning of class. We learned a lot that we will use someday to help them in that deep and ultimate way. And that's a great, great goodness. So please, please be happy with yourself. Think of this goodness like a beautiful glowing gemstone that you can hold in your hands. Recall your precious holy guides. See how happy they are with you. Grow your gratitude to them. Ask them to please stay close, to continue to guide you and inspire you. And then offer them this gemstone of goodness. See them accept it and bless it. And they carry it with them right back into your heart. See them there, feel them there. Their love, their compassion, their wisdom. That little tingle or glow deep inside your chest. It feels so good. We want to keep it forever. And so we share it by the power of the goodness that we've just done. May all beings complete the collection of merit and wisdom, and thus gain the two ultimate bodies, that merit and wisdom may. So use those 3 long exhales, share this goodness with that one person. Share it with everyone you love. Share it with every being you've ever seen or heard of, or who's ever seen you. See them all filled with wisdom, filled with kindness. And may it be so. All right, my dears. Do your homeworks. I forgot to ask for you to show them to me. Next time, show me 2. Oh, Tracy, yay, thank you. Yay, Chris, thanks. Okay. All right,
Bye.
bye-bye. See you Thursday. Have a great week. Thanks, translators.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you,
Thank you very
Sarahni.
much. Thank you, teacher.
Be.
You to teachers, Ronnie.